and a lot of people don't get it when people say that tax is not really there, that you can make money from tax. It's not always there just to take your money.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Guys, I think we need to ask our question, why do we have tax? Right? Let's start there. Secondly, you mentioned that if you comply, the best way to actually even sort of pay reasonable tax is what? It's comply. It's as simple as that. Comply. You pay. Most people actually end up paying unnecessarily because they don't comply. If you don't comply, you are going to pay unnecessarily tax, right? And we gave those examples earlier on. But let's go back to this notion of making money. And I'm gonna bring it back home to you. You are in a inner city development, and being in that space, remember the one of the primary reasons why we've got taxes is so that there's a revenue collection, so that there's the sort of a shared services are able to be funded. That's ultimately why we are just doing our pieces based on in proportion to the legislation. Because otherwise, if we were to say how much Leroy with his money in the inner city has to contribute, then Leroy will want to contribute 1 cent, all those things. But tax legislation helps us to contribute in proportion based on the legislation. Yeah, that's fine. That's more technical. Now, let's go back to what you were saying, that how do you even make money using tax? Let's look at the section that you are in an inner city development doing, urban development zone. Is it not helping to make money?
I'm making money, eh? I probably won't pay tax for the next 10 years or so. For a long time.
There we go. I mean, guys, here's the thing. Here's Leroy. I mean, Leroy, you are the classical example on how tax can make you money. So I think we answered the question because you've got a that, and I think you need to share experience around that. I don't know, but that's one thing. Then the second part, I mean, and we're just gonna give practical examples that people can relate to. And one of the unfortunately came to an end at the end of June, the Section 12J. Do you know how people got refund? You put in $1 million, you got a refund of 450,000, and then
investment of $1 million.
Yeah, and you've got investment of $1 million.
Half of your money back.
Yeah, exactly. And when you cash in, that money gets taxed at capital gain. So which means effectively you're subsidized for your investment. People make money. Are you gonna blame SARS?
And so you're talking, and just for some people that say the UDZ, that's the urban development zone. So basically what SARS is saying, there's a shortage of housing in these inner cities, and if you help them, if you help the government create housing, they give you tax incentives. For someone who doesn't know what, basically that's a summarized version of what that means. So,
and there's a lot of them. Remember, there's also Section 13(6). If you recall, I mean, you probably as a developer you know this, where if you invest in specific type of residential units, then you get those deductions, right? And there's where, like what you're saying, there's a less of units, social housing. And if you go and you build what you call low-cost housing, and then obviously rent it out, provided you meet those obviously criteria, then you'll get additional 5%. Is it not helping making money? So which means that if you invested, let's say 100 rand, then you've got a deduction of 10% of 100 rand, right? That's about 10 years. So 10% every year. So it means you'll depreciate this in over 10 years. So over 10 years, SARS kind of finance you 10%, but then obviously the net effect of that, of tax, 28% of that. So you're getting that back, right? So that's pretty much, to me, I don't know how else can you make money if that is not making money, because then you can take that refund, that 28% that you are getting back, instead of paying to SARS, but then you are retaining it. You can actually take that and reinvest it. Then there's an issue of compound effect. Like Albert Einstein always said, one of the wonders of the world is the compound effect. So then it means that then that compound effect to say, it's up to you now to then do what? Take that refund of 28% and then reinvest it in another project. Maybe join Leroy in another project.
Yes, that's a good one there, Shillyboy. Say that again.
I'm saying, look, the thing is, making money has to do with knowing people like Leroy, and I mean that's a reality, and you need to network, and then take that money that you saved, that money that you got refund as a result of having invested. I mean, think about it, Leroy, for someone who got a refund for having invested in Section 12J, can't you take that 400,000 and then do compound effect?
And just push it back.
Are you with me? So,
yeah.
I mean, you take it and you go and partner with Leroy. I know he's doing an amazing project. I must congratulate you, by the way. You're doing an amazing project in Boxback. So, you're doing well for East Rand. So, why not partner with Leroy? And I think that's you take that money, you pump it in, then there's a compound effect. So you can that's why they say the richer get richer, but it's because you use the knowledge and you use people like Leroy to make more money.
Thank you, Shillyboy. Thank you for that. I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you said. So basically what Shillyboy is saying, if you've got money, 100,000, a million, 10 million, contact us. Let's look at these projects and let's use your money as compounding effect, and you can buy these projects and invest in these. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. I just thought let me throw that one in. Now,
but the thing is, you've got a credibility. I mean, you have done it. You know, you have been in the space, and you have been one of those who don't be shy to talk about it, because you have been one of those guys who have been consistent about one thing. And I'm a big fan of someone, a specialist. There's nothing wrong with multiple streams of income, but I believe in betting on a jockey that has been consistent, being riding a horse, right? Rather than a jockey that tomorrow is playing golf. I always get worried about people like that, especially how complicated the world of economy is, right? It requires one to amass that such a high level of information. In every sector, there's a high level. Things are moving at a very speedy rate. So yeah, a jockey like you, why not pump money into that jockey and make sure that this jockey excels? Anyway,
yeah. Thanks, man, for that. But I think so that's the way. So basically, what we summarize was that is find out what the government wants you to do and start partnering with the government. That's a good word, partnering. Partnering with the government, and get yourself an expert like Shillyboy. He'll give you all his contact details by the end of this, so you can contact him and make sure that you understand, because it's complicated. Like you say, for me to really understand everything about tax is gonna take me. Now, how long did it take you?
Jeez, man, you first have to do 4-year degree and then write a couple of board exams. I mean, it depends on which route you took, but my route was a CA route. Now I'm still studying for the next 2 years. I'll be studying, doing my international. So I want you to start moving your money to offshore and start telling about loop structures where you move your money offshore, then you bring the money back into the country. So
that's something that you must come share with us as well. Is maybe why you want to take your money offshore and how to do it if they are people.
Look, there's a saying that the world is a village. Because of globalization, the world is becoming a village, which means that the world is too small, right? You can wake up today. I mean, it's very funny. Yesterday, I was speaking to someone who's in Abu Dhabi. During the last week, I was speaking to someone who was in Belgium. And in those previous, our grandparents' days, you just couldn't comprehend
it. It's impossible.
That it just looked so beyond. So can you see that it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller? Who knows? Tomorrow we might wake up and it might end up taking us 1 hour to get to America. Don't say it's not possible. It can happen. You understand where I'm coming? So the world is becoming smaller and smaller. and in such a way that it's going to make it much easier for you guys to start earning in hard currencies. So, and I'm answering your question. I know I take forever to answer a question, but because I'm very passionate. So, it might take you, you might want to start earning money in hard currencies, right? And also it might also be has to do with your kids, your generations, giving them freedom of movement. You might be a Boxback guy, but
Yeah.
your kids might say, listen, Dad, I wanna go and try in Australia. You know what I mean? Like, and others might say, listen, I wanna go to US, I wanna go to Ireland, you know, all those you want to give your kids a freedom of movement, right?
Mm.
So that because wealth in when you're creating wealth, whether you're an entrepreneur in mining, coal, it doesn't matter. The more you create wealth, the more that gives you a freedom, and
Mm.
within a freedom, it also gives you that. Not to say we don't have a freedom when you don't have money, but you exercise actually. Let me rather use the word you exercise your constitutional right of freedom of movement, right? Money makes you able to do that. So you also want to pass on that to your kids, and I think also is issue of hedging, and we like using that finance terms to say you want to hedge. What are you hedging against? It might be political instability. It might be currency issue. You know what I mean? So you want to hedge around many things, and you want to have a freedom of buying uh, business ventures in other parts of the world. And for that matter, it might also be less tax rate. I mean, for instance, in Ireland, is about in corporate income tax rate is about 12.5%. Why would you want to not invest in Ireland? So there's many reasons, and it's gonna be one reason from differing from another person, basically.
But that's so true, Shillyboy. I know, and this is good that we start opening up our minds to that the world is big, man. It's not just
Mm, mm,
Boxburg,
mm.
Joburg, Cape Town, South
Yeah,
Africa. I remember when I started, and Andrew and them were investing in the UK, and I couldn't see it. The UK was so
yeah,
small. They were
yeah.
like,
It's like this
UK.
man.
I'm like, dude, no, man. It's the UK. I need to
Yeah,
fly
yeah,
to see. How am I gonna? I just couldn't see it. I was
yeah,
my thinking was very small, and what I was exposed to was also not
yeah.
that broad.
You
But
just
now,
wanted to, yeah,
yeah, now
yeah,
when you're around these guys doing a chili boy and talking about you can invest anywhere in the world, Andrew and them and Dave and them and all these guys investing internationally, it starts
mm,
opening up your eyes to see, wow, there's more, there's bigger things,
mm.
there's a bigger
Exactly,
world out there.
exactly.
Chili
So
boy,
yeah, so yeah. Go
go
on.
for it, sorry.
No. I was just saying it's the whole mobility, and I mean when you're speaking about that, this is a high level of mobility, and I mean this week was it this week or last week? One of the guys I know within our clients, and I mean he's a doctor. He's moving. He's moving to Ireland. He's just waiting for visa. So,
Mm.
and then now the question is, how do we service him from being a non-resident now, from tax point of view? So, so one needs to understand that. And by the way, moving around and having a high level of mobility has nothing to do with money. Sometimes professionals these days are moving. You know what I mean? Like I say, yesterday I was speaking to someone in Abu Dhabi. She's just
Mm.
merely some. She's in the what do you call this thing? Paramedic, yeah, the paramedics guys, right?
Mm.
She moved to Abu Dhabi, and you know what I mean. So, and it has nothing to do with your balance sheet. So, but then understanding that you can actually do that, even from exchange control regulations point of view, which is something that if you're gonna be dealing with international tax and tax planning, you still need to understand how Reserve Bank sees you. How much can you actually move out of the country
Yes.
without hassle, all those type of things. So those things are very important I mean, it's an encouragement. Go and earn hard currencies and bring money back into the country and revitalize the economy.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's good. Chili boy, maybe before we get into, because what I want to do now is maybe just go into what advice would you give an entrepreneur and what advice you want to give an employee, right? People are doing different things. Some people are investing
Yeah.
in property. Some people I don't think we have enough time to go into maybe, and there's no one size fits all, right? You need to
Yeah,
look at the
yeah,
individual, what their goals, what they want to
yeah.
achieve. So maybe just look at it. But firstly, we want to go into what all do we get taxed on? Because I'm not sure everyone. I know there's a million things we get taxed on, right?
Mm.
There's income tax, there's petrol, there's sugar, there's maybe if we can just so we give people an idea of where they paying tax, because I'm starting to look at tax differently. But the way I did look at it, I looked at SARS as SARS. What SARS does is it punishes productive people and it incentivizes unproductive people. Because the more you earn, the more productive you are, the more tax you pay, right?
I'm very, I'm
That's how
very,
that's how I looked at it initially, to say that if you make a lot of money, let's say you get a job, you pay 45%, right? The less money you make, the less tax you pay. And then obviously this money goes out to grants and people getting children and what out there. So that's how I looked at it for a while, to say that that's to punish productive people, to incentivize unproductive. That's how, but now you have changed my mindset, how I'm thinking about it, now that I'm educating myself more. What are all the things that we get taxed on?
okay. Maybe let's do away with words are very powerful.
Yeah.
So I wanna do away with punish, because I don't think it's an intention of SARS to punish anyone. It's not their mandate, and I'm not speaking for them, but I just feel that we need to do.
You say I'm saying it wrong there.
I think let's look at, and I think it's like, but and I'm not even really, honestly speaking, I'm not picking on you, and I think it's a matter of, I understand where the sentiment is coming from, and that's exactly what you said earlier. There's emotions around every
Yes.
time when someone think, when how much they're paying. Everyone wish they could not be paying anything, but where will you be driving on? So and which hospital will? Because you might be having a private hospital, but it's subsidized one way or another, right? So yeah, so that's one thing. But then, to answer your question, let's look at how tax legislations and get developed. There's a department called Department of Finance, right? Underneath that, and then we also have what we call National Treasury. You probably have heard,
Yeah.
where the Minister of Finance, our favorite Titombo and Mr. Tim. Hey, let me keep quiet. Anyway, so yeah, so and that's where everything gets developed, policy development and all those things around tax, exchange control regulations, and all. And then they delegate other powers to Reserve Bank, and then after that, once they develop certain tax legislation, and they negotiate agreements, tax treaties. We call them tax treaties. How a cross-border transaction get taxed, right? And then once that is obviously negotiated, obviously it goes within the approval processes, parliament and executive. We call them the cabinet, that parliament then approve, and then from there the president's rubber stamp and everything, and then it gets brought into the legislation, right? Then the role of SARS is interpretation. SARS interpret. SARS interpret, and that's why I always say, why are you blaming SARS? Because SARS is a messenger, if you think about it. So, and this is where I always have an issue with not even having issue. I don't like having issue with people, but this is where I always say, listen, before things become a law, they actually get publicized. There's public comment. Comment, write, register your heart feelings, and also it might not be on an individual capacity. it might be through your association. You might be a professional at engineering. You go to EXA and say, these are issues that we're experiencing as engineers. We're not happy with. Because EXA is a stakeholder in the greater scheme of things. So National Treasury will listen to them, right? You understand? In America, they like saying there's lobby groups. In American politics, they can actually. It's very funny that you get hired to lobby White House, and well, in Africa, once you start saying I'm a lobbyist, then there's a connotation of fraud,
Yeah,
corruption.
right.
It's stigmatized like, yeah, it's stigmatized like that. And I think we need to get to the point where we actually do away with such stigma and we allow lobbyists to